I hope you all are doing well and staying safe and healthy. This is Radhika here again, and this video is going to be about how a fearful avoidant attachment style that a person develops in their childhood, makes the person a confused individual who switches from overt narcissistic tendencies to covert narcissistic tendencies and back and forth. So I previously made a video where a child who grows up in a dismissive, avoidant sort of an environment where they attach to their parents in a dismissive, avoidant fashion are more likely to become overt narcissists, and children who attach to their parent in an anxious way, in an anxious, preoccupied way, they are more likely to become covert narcissists when they grow up. Now we'll talk about the fearful avoidant personality type or attachment type. So these kind of people, when they grew up as children, grew up in environments which were sort of extreme. So if their parents loved them, there was a lot of love and there was a lot of care, affection, attention. I can see you, I can hear you. So you're being seen, you're being heard, you're being appreciated, you're being loved. And then something happens in the parent's life, um, where they become extremely detached from the child, where they either are very occupied in their own lives, in setting up the home, or getting a new job or something like that, and they completely detach from this child who was very used to being seen, heard, appreciated, understood, felt. And suddenly the child loses all of that. So now the child who has grown up in a very anxious, preoccupied way, where they do depend on their caretakers for a lot of the needs, suddenly have to detach, and they have to realize that I'm not getting those needs met from outside anymore. And slowly over time they cope by learning how to fulfill these needs for themselves. So they kind of go on the dismissive side of the spectrum, which is like, oh, I have to meet my own needs, my parents are not doing that for me anymore. So maybe I should read a book, I should watch a movie, I should go out and play, I should make new relationships outside somewhere, out of this group of people that I depend on, etc. So basically, they develop coping mechanisms which are outside of this family group, or by themselves if they are too damaged. They Or if this occurs for a too long a period, they decide, okay, I'm not getting anything fulfilled from any other humans, so let me just depend on myself for now. So a fearful avoidant in a way goes through this entire spectrum. So they have been an anxious, preoccupied at some point in their life, as well as they have been a dismissive avoidant at some point in their life. So in a way, they know how to cope with both the methods of being alive, where you become extroverted, you go out to get your needs met, or you become introverted and you get all your needs met by yourself from books, from inanimate objects, etc. So a fearful avoidant is this attachment style where there was no consistency in the way the person grew up. So the person had to always be, in a way, low key anxious about what is going to happen in their life. So fearful avoidants, they usually suffer from anxiety later in life, and they don't know why they suffer from anxiety many times, and when they dig deeper, they'll realize the anxiety is really coming from their childhood. So they might have a really good marriage, a happy marriage, a good job, but still somewhere inside them they have this low key anxiety of something, of a need not being met properly. That's my alarm, so I need to turn it off. Once was my alarm going off. So So yeah, as I was saying, so FAs grow up in this environment where there's always a low-key anxiety of, are am I going to be able to connect with my parent, or is my parent going to be really preoccupied in something else? So there's no consistency in the way a fearful avoidant attaches to other people. And what that boils down to is, other people are always like a gamble or a threat to a fearful avoidant. And the coping mechanisms a fearful avoidant develops in their highest form, in their most extreme form, can look like narcissism, overt or covert. So say a fearful avoidant is always kind of in this mind space that, do I want this relationship or should I let it go? Because they are able to do both the things. They can have a relationship and they can also let it go. So they are always kind of like measuring the pros and cons of it. That, is it more beneficial for me to keep it, or is it more beneficial for me to let it go? So a fearful avoidant, in if they decide that I want a relationship later in life, they can very much look like an overt narcissistic person, um, where they are trying to control the relationship in any way possible, in any way, shape or form, just to keep it. So they are anxious, in the anxious way they want to keep the relationship. But to keep it, they might operate from a very overt perspective, like, why are you meeting so and so person, why are you talking to them? They want to be with you all the time, like an anxious preoccupied person. They might be needy, but also they have problems with their own neediness, because in their childhood they were needy, and then they were kind of like detached in a very bad manner from their parents, and where they kind of have a wounding of being too needy towards other people. But the wounding is not as big as a dismissive avoidance wounding, but it's still there. So they will never show you that they are needy, that they need you, but they will do everything to keep you under their control. Um, and so when they also go on the more dismissive side, so say you are being too needy for them, then they will completely turn their perspective around, and they'll be like, this person is too needy. And then they might completely go no contact, or they might ghost you, or they might feel that this person is taking up too much of my time and energy. So they start acting like a dismissive avoidant almost when you become needy on them. So it's very difficult to have a relationship with a fearful avoidant person, because if you become too needy, they pull away, and if you become too distant, then they come after you. They are like, don't go, because I need you. And the way they can keep you is very weird. Like, they might do a lot of covert tactics to make you feel guilty for doing something without them, or they might blame you or shame you for trying to have your own life outside somewhere. They might also like blame you for cheating on them or something like that. So the problem is, a child who has grown up with a fearful avoidant attachment style is completely clueless about secure attachment. Because if you grew up anxious, or if you grew up dismissive, there was at least a consistency in the way you were growing up. Either your parents were always overindulgent and, like, enmeshed in your life, and you always dependent on them, or the other side is they were never in your life and you were always independent, and you knew who you were always by yourself. The fearful avoidant gets the worst of both the parenting styles, because they get this attachment where they have a dependency on the parent, But then, depending on the parent's mood or their life or some circumstances, they suddenly get detached from the parent. So they get like a big jolt of reality, like where the ground is taken down away from below their feet, and they're like, oh, now I have to stand on my own 2 feet. My safety net, my security net is gone all of a sudden. So that shock or the jolt that they get in their childhood, it really makes them extremely anxious and extremely difficult to be with as partners when they grow up, because they really try all the tricks in the trade to keep the partner, and sometimes even to push the partner away. So it's when you are in a relationship with a fearful avoidant, it feels like the most confusing thing on earth, because you just don't know what they want. And if you give them, it's like if you give them spaghetti, they want pasta, and if you give them pasta, they want a salad, and if you give them a salad, they want an ice cream. So you, as the other partner, is always confused about what do they want in life. You don't understand. And that is like uh, the problem of fearful avoidance, and that's why they kind of show up as both a covert and an overt narcissist when you are in a relationship with them. So that was this video. I hope this helps you in some way. As always, I wish you a lot of love and a lot of light. Thank you. Bye.